I'm sorry that I haven't been doing Game of Thrones reviews, but I really don't think that if I wasn't doing them, you were missing out on a lot, because everyone pretty much says the same things. Except I tend to be a little bit more critical and says that like I complain a lot, but I like to complain. That's my thing. I stick to it. So the last 3, I believe that's what I missed, 3 episodes of Game of Thrones, I think it was 5, 6, and 7, are actually a lot better than what we've been getting before. I think 5 was just a great episode because it was like Cersei Strikes Back. It was Cersei basically being like, you know what, I can play this game when I want to, because I think it's, for the audience, for TV Cersei, she often kind of is either really good, because Lena Headey is just a really good Cersei, or she's really sort of like a non-entity. Like, her incompetencies knows no bounds at times. And I think that in the 5th episode, we got to actually see Cersei as a smart, competent person playing the Game of Thrones the way we haven't seen her do in a really long time. And I think that what's interesting to me about Cersei is that her love of Joffrey is like to the oomph level, and her love of Tommen is like, I will sell you to Marjorie right now to get revenge for my baby boy, because this is bullshit and I am not letting it happen. Sorry, the church bells are ringing right now. The Jon Snow stuff was actually interesting. I know I hate on Jon Snow, I do. I can't stand him, whatever, he can eat rocks. But his stuff was only interesting because when he got to be back with Ghost, that was adorbs. I really did, I'm actually just gonna fluctuate through all 3 of the episodes, so I'm sorry if it's kind of like one big conglomerate. The fact that Jon got back with Ghost was great. I thought that was cute. I love that one of the women that was being abused by the mutineers, the mutineers helped Jon Snow kill the guy, that the women after Craster's let Craster's Keep be burnt up, and basically saying that like we don't want anything to do. They would rather freeze to death than be in that fucking place. And I think that psychologically that was just so important and so compelling that I really just loved it. Let's see what's happening now. Stannis, my boo, he's struggling. They went to Bravos. They got help by Mycroft to get some funds because Davos gave the best while we stayed for Stannis' speech, you know. And I feel like for me, I know that Sansa has never been like a majority loved character, and I get that. I do. I think that my MLS I get that. I think that my MCS helps me kind of empathize with his situation, and I think that I like the sort of like Nixon JFK relationship he kind of has with his siblings, in terms of like how they're portrayed and who's more popular and why. And I think that like what Davos said about Stannis, about why he follows Stannis, why he roots for Stannis, is true. And I think that those are like Stannis, while he's dour, while he's not fun, while he is not the party president, he is a good leader. He is strong, he's capable, he is smart. And I think that a lot of people will have this idea that because he's like, you know, mean and grumpy, that he has other redeemable qualities. And I think that the show also doesn't portray his redeemable qualities very well. The context of why he burned people was totally warped from what it was in the text, you know. In the text, he doesn't burn people just because they don't believe in R'hllor. It's about what the guy was saying against him, Selyse's brother. So that was changed, you know. The Bank of Bravos actually goes to Stannis in the books. Stannis doesn't go to them. They go to him because they recognize that he is the best one to take the Iron Throne, and they won't root for Daenerys because the Bravosi don't like the Targaryens because of historical issues, because the Targaryens enslaved the Bravosi in the past, and the Bravos was kind of like a way of getting away from slavery, and so they'll never root for a Targaryen, basically. So I think that Stannis is often made to look much more ghoulish than he actually is, which is disappointing because I think that there's a lot of good qualities to Stannis as a leader that make him an attractive proponent for the throne, in my opinion. So I'm glad that, you know, Dallas get that speech for all of us Stannis lovers out there. Daenerys, speaking of Daenerys, I think that her arc is interesting because we're seeing her kind of realize that, like, she don't know what she doing and she needs help. I think when his daughter Lorax came and sort of talked about how his father did not support slavery, and that a lot of other men didn't, and that it wasn't sort of a uniform thing, and Dany giving in and realizing, like, oh shit, I did something wrong, was interesting. And I think that this is a very good show of what Dany has to learn to become queen. And I think that the thing about Dany that makes me still empathize with her, even though these scenes are kind of aggravating, is because she means well. You know, you see it later on, like, she doesn't want to, like, leave this place because she wants to help the people. She doesn't want to, like, let these people go back into slavery. She wants to free them. She wants to be free, and she empathizes with them so strongly that I understand it and I relate to it, and I feel like if she were smarter, it would work out. And I think that it's not a fault that only she would do. I think this happens throughout history. People will free an enslaved group or free a people under siege and be like, now be free and be great, and then powers come in, and we see it all the time in life and current events and history. So she, especially with not having any training, is unprepared for what it lies ahead, and I think it's very clear, but I think she's trying, and I think that we need to find out where Dany gets her money from, where she can just pay people for losing their whole herd of sheeps 3 times as much, and I'm glad that she's getting dick. And Jorah needs to stop hating. I mean, I know England, you're beautiful, and we love you, but you gotta go soon, so just stop. Just stop hating. Just go do what Dany says and stop hating. Because she don't want your penis, you gotta let go of that. Then I think in episode 6, a great scene was when Yara was trying to save Theon/Reek, and he was totally fucking gone. And I think that the Stockholm Syndrome you're seeing between Theon, Reek, and Simon from Misfits. What the fuck is his name? Shit. Ramsay Snow. That's it. Excuse me. Ramsay Bolton. It's really good. I think the acting was really great for Theon. Like, say what you will about Alfie, but that motherfucker can act his ass off. Ramsay, on the other hand, is, like, hamming it up. Like, I know he's supposed to be our new Joffrey, but there was a fine just to Joffrey's acting and evilness. It was just, like, here it is. Joffrey wore evil like swag, and he just Ramsay just kind of like, I'm maniacal, and it's like, it's engaging but comical at the same time. So there it is. And then we talk about the small council and they're being more aware of Dany. This is again episode 6. I'm kind of more organized right now, and I think that was really interesting because Dany in the books is sort of like a far off problem in a far off place, and no one really cares about her. So I think the fact that people are more aware of her existence in the book is really interesting. The talk between Oberyn and Varys is great. I've had problems with Oberyn in the past, and I think that Oberyn is a much stronger character, both acting wise and story wise, when he's talking about really political things, when he's talking about his sister. Basically, when they're talking about sex, he's really great, and I think that the actor has come to really own the writing of the character, and I think that that's being done very well. So I appreciate that, even though I'm not the biggest fan of everything that happened beforehand. I already said my piece about it, but this part was good. And then the trial happens, and Tommen leaves. Testimony is one side, Tyrion trying. But then let's get to the part where we care about Shay. Shay comes out and she fucks up his life. Here's my thing about this, and it's hard to talk about the Shay Tyrion changes because we haven't finished with the storyline yet, and so we have to wait till it ends to really get into it. But just from my opinion, here's my thing about the whole Shay trial thing. I think Sybil, who plays Shay, is great. I think she understands the writing for Shay really well. And I think the issue that I have with the Shay trial is twofold. One, the changes that they made to Shay's character have made it so that she has to be an idiot for a chunk of it to come back and hate Tyrion for sending her off. And that frustrates me. Because they have to have the end game of her being at the trial happen. And so to do that, they had to make this whole, like, jealousy with Sansa thing, and the whole, like, even though she knows that people are evil, she's just trying to be like, but we get rid of it together thing, and it's just kind of like, it's aggravating, because they're making a character who is competent seem very, very dumb, and very, very ignorant, and the way they portrayed her in the show, and to get her to a point that she has to be in the book, because they want to make all these changes, make it into this, like, little love romance bullshit, and that's annoying, because you had a character who had really grown from what she was supposed to be, whether people liked it or not, and you had to turn her into the evil ex-girlfriend in the end anyway. And then the other point of it is that everyone's gonna hate her, and I'll admit, I don't love Shay in the books. I don't, for other reasons besides the fact that she does this. But I think the thing that's supposed to be seen about this trial and trials things with Shay is not supposed to be about heartbreak. It is, but in a different way. It's supposed to be about understanding that Tyrion seeks love and affection and friendship in places that are hard to quantify. Like, he wants to buy affection. He buys it from Shay because she's a prostitute, and because he pays for it, it feels real. He pays for his friendship with Bronn, which I'll talk about in a second, and it feels real. And because he doesn't know how to function with people and trust that they really care about him, so he gives them money, he buys off who they are. And that's supposed to be important for his character, because he has no real friends, because he spent all of season 2 being like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I'm Tyrion, I'm Hand of the King, I'm a Lannister, and that's not working for him right now. So all the money, all the things that he used to buy people, and buy his friendship, and buy his sort of sense of stability, and to deal with his issues due to his dwarfism, are all kind of brushed away, because everyone's his friend. Everyone really, like, Shay really loves him, Bronn really cares about him just being pragmatic, Podrick really cares about him, like, we all just love Tyrion, but we just can't do anything to help because it's so sad. It removes Tyrion's own character faults and that's what frustrates me about the whole trial and the whole scenarios, because, like, we're supposed to get from the Bronn leaving him and Shay betraying is that Tyrion thought he was secure because he could buy love and he could buy things, and he mistook the money that he spent on people and the affection that they gave them as real when it was just what he was paying them. And it's because of his disability that people treat him this way. And that's what makes his whole speech even more powerful, because it's not a matter of just, oh, poor Tyrion, Shay's saying this stuff because you hurt her. It's no, she's saying this because she never gave a fuck about you, because you were just someone who paid her, and now that love you thought was real is not there because of who you are, and it's unfair and it's cruel, and that leads into the whole I'm on top of being a dwarf speech, which is great. I think Dinklage was really amazing in that scene, and that was awesome. And then the next week we get Bronn coming in being like, oh, I've been ennobled, that's not even a fucking word, ennobled, and he's like, I'm not gonna fly the mountain because that would be really fucking dumb. And then eventually Oberyn comes and decides to be Tyrion's champion, and I really love that. And I loved the speech that he gave about them going to Casterly Rock and Elia being there. I wish I had brought up the fact that Elia thought that Tyrion was a cute baby, because the contrast I think would have been great. And I think that, I love Elia Martell, that's my girl. So I was great to see that scene, and to have the emotions played out of having someone genuinely and truly be on Tyrion's side. And I know there's an added bonus of the mountain and whatnot, but I think the speech shows that not everyone thinks that Tyrion's a monster. Not everyone loves him because of money. There are some people who genuinely look at him and just see a person and not a monster. I think that was a really important scene to show. Let's see, what else to talk about? Well, let's talk about what's important to me. My boo Sansa. Sansa is in the middle of Littlefinger's bullshittery. Can I just say that I love how, even though it's acknowledged that Littlefinger is responsible for the war, people still find a way to blame Catelyn Stark. And it's just like, did you not get what just happened? Littlefinger put all of this together because he knew how to play everybody involved. It's his fault. He's a psychotic maniac. I'm sorry if those aren't the wrong terms. but he is a manipulator, and he is a terrible person, and he planned all of this just to get Cat and to get his own way of getting all this money, to ennoble himself. And on the one hand, he's horrible. He deserves so much pain and suffering. I hope he dies. But on the other hand, game recognized game, son. Good job. Can he keep it? Well, we'll see. And then, of course, he throws Lysa Tully the moon door after what happens with Sansa. Can I just say, let's just be a little aside. I am often extremely frustrated with the writing for Sansa. I love Sansa. Sansa's fucking sucker is my favorite individual character in the show, because, you know, Hearts by Child is my banner. But she's my favorite character in the show. In the series, mind you. And I love her, I defend her, I support her, I still enjoy Sophie Turner's portrayal of her, but I just feel like the writing for her is always going to be the lowest common fucking denominator. And Sophie does what she can with the role, but I just feel like they don't ever take the time or nuance to go into her head the way they do with every other character. That's my whole problem. They do it with everybody else. People who don't have no lines, people who even fuck POV characters. We can make up all these scenes to give them background information, know what they're thinking about, to show their character growth. Sounds just kind of like, we're just gonna let her go through life crying and suffering and being upset, and no nuance ever. When her and Shay were gonna be friends, I thought that would be time for her to actually, like, to show her internal dialogue about how she had grown as a person, to talk with Shay. Nope, just ends up being about Shay and Tyrion angst. But not here. So, in the scene with the snow castle, it was just done and portrayed in a way that just, like, first of all, I wasn't really looking forward to the scene because there's really no way you can make Hidden Kid look good. But I felt as though the way that they did it just made everyone involved look painfully silly. And then what's really more important, the fact that she gets, you know, this forced kiss by Littlefinger is, like, more important, because then you see, like, Lysa being creepy in the side, and it's just shot in a way that it's not Sansa's point of view that we're ever seeing anything really from. And that's really frustrating. And let me just double check something, because thank you to A Song of Ice and Fire Wiki for providing me with a way of viewing all the information about Game of Thrones, because I feel like the thing that bothers me about what happens with Sansa, and people talk about, like, because I listened to A History of Westeros and A Pockets of Ice and Fire, and I like to listen to different commentary, and I think it was in A Pockets of Ice and Fire, one of the contributors said that, like, Sansa had really not that much more agency in the book than she did in the show. I disagree with this, because agency, in my opinion, is not just about mobility. It's not about the ability to move from one place to another. It's about the growth of the character mentally that's being stimulated. And to me, what they often do is take away little pieces of Sansa's character that show that she has grown and evolved. Like, I think one of the things that was important to me was how in the second book, when she first meets what's his face, Sir Dantos, she pulls a knife on him because she doesn't trust him. And she doesn't believe that he'll just do something nice for her. So she brings a knife with her and she pulls it out on him during their conversation. That's growth from Sansa in book 1, who was not even la-laing through life. Her conversation with the Hound, all are there to show how she's matured. One of the cutscenes from season 2 did exactly that. And yes, I recognize that the sexual context in which those scenes happen is not appropriate for the character as portrayed in the show. And I don't think it has to be sexualized. You can rewrite the scenes to make them very tame. But the important thing is to have them there to show that Sansa is not the same person she was in book 1. And they don't do that. And anytime that she has a little point where she stands up for herself or defends herself, whether it be out on the outside or on the inside, is hardly put there. And that is frustrating. I mean, we got a few good quips now and then, but overall the character just does not get her due. And it makes it frustrating for me as someone who likes the character to, one, have to defend her from people who say that she does nothing and doesn't contribute anything, but also as a fan who wants to see those things be translated into the books. So that's just aggravating to me. But that's neither here nor there. But then, yeah, she gets pushed in the moon door. We all rejoice, even though I feel bad for Lysa just because she had a fucked up life, but she's also not a great person in herself anyway. It was like I decided to like reread the text to see like what Sansa did, and it was like, so how it goes. The scene is that Sansa comes out because in A Storm of Swords, this chapter, this scene with the moon door is the last chapter in the book. So in the chapter, the first thing that happens is that Sansa's going to build the Silk Castle. Then Peter Littlefinger comes out and he's talking to her about it, and then they sort of build the tower together. He's trying to like play with her, and then she takes a handful of snow and flings it in Peter's face because she was pissed at him for like bringing him here when he's supposed to bring her to Winterfell. And then when then Peter kisses her and tries to kiss her, and he kisses her, and then he tries to like say like it was okay, and she's obviously kind of like, she's just like, Peter, please, and then Robert comes, and he doesn't really, that whole conversation with them together doesn't exist. The whole thing like, oh, I want to do it, like he just comes and he starts like, you know, smashing the castle instantly. So Sansa grabs the doll, rips it, and that's when he goes off to his mom and whatever, and that's when the whole thing unfolds. So, like, again, everything that they do with the Sansa scene is done to make it sort of, like, make her look more almost irrational. Because it's, like, it's a silly thing to hit a child who made a little accident. Because that's what it's really like. Robert, he just hit it, and it was an accident. But in the book, he, like, comes and he just kind of, like, instantly just starts trampling on it, doesn't care, and Sansa takes the doll, rips it, doesn't smack him, just rips the doll, and then that's what happened. And then, of course, she's still at Littlefinger, that agency is gone. Everything about her mind and what she thinks and the things that she does, even if it's little, I know as a Sansa fan, to me the little things matter more, but those little things are important in the bigger scheme of who her character is. And it's disappointing that the writer has just erased those nuances from her, no matter what. The Brienne and Podrick scenes are cute because it's a lot of interesting stuff about Brienne. I love Brienne. Podrick don't really give that much about, but I think that the scene where they end up like talking about how Podrick doesn't really know how to be a squire, but he wants it because he feels sort of like impressed by Brienne. Like he really seems to look up to her and that kind of stuff. So I think that's cute. The relationship between Jaime and Cersei and Tyrion has been like this stupid love triangle incest bullshit. It's just, Jaime has been tainted to me that it's sort of hard for me to still like enjoy his scenes. I make myself enjoy them, but at the same time, like the fulfillment from them is not there at all. I understand that he feels stuck between Tyrion and Cersei about what he really wants to do and what he feels like he has to do. I think that it's interesting to see that as much as he cares about his siblings, he never really will put himself on the line right now for Tyrion. Because the thing about, like, I don't even know if I feel like he would want to, but he can't. Because if he could fight, then he would fight for Tyrion. I believe that. But at the same time, I feel like he's also trying to make excuses for everybody, instead of just really just being on Tyrion's side, which he has the power to do, because there's no way that Tywin would let anything bad happen to Jaime. Let's see, anything else of importance happening? Marjorie. I love how Marjorie and Loras were just kind of like, ugh, Dad, you're so embarrassing to Mace Tyrell, because Mace Tyrell is such a bitch ass fool. I just, like, I can't stand him. So he's incompetent. Arya and the Hound, their stuff is half interesting, half repetitive. I think that with Arya, what carries Arya and Sandor's scenes is the dynamic of seeing the little people. By little people, I mean the common people, and their experiences, how they've been affected by the war. And also, I think that last episode where Sandor gets his lines back from Littlefinger, who stole them in the first season, about the origin of his fire, is really interesting, because you see that, like, you see why Sandor is the way that he is, because he recognizes that he's completely alone in the world, because even his own father wouldn't stand up for him. No one's gonna stand up for him. And, you know, Gregor's a knight. Gregor has all this power, and, you know, that's why he hates knights, because he recognizes that knights are not noble people. They're brutes in a lot of ways. And I feel like that was a Sandor I had been missing for so many seasons, because all of his scenes with Sansa got taken away, and so never had no character dynamics for either of them. But so that happened, and I was so annoyed in this past episode about how we have to have Melisandre naked every time she shows her powers. Don't mind that she's naked. She's got a lovely body. My problem is that it's so over the top. It's just kind of like, we got the little butt from Dario. Then we had to have full nudity from Melisandre for the entire scene almost. And it's like, why? When the other dude, I forget his name, had to do his magic, he had to take off all his clothes. Maybe he should have. Maybe it'd been more powerful. Maybe he could bring back 5 people if he just got naked. But it's interesting seeing the dynamics of everybody. I think this season is coming towards everything that's really great about this season. And I'm also interested to see how they're going to start bringing, because they're already starting to bring in stuff from Feast for Crow. And that was always going to be, you know, something that was going to be happening. It's inevitable. I mean, George R. R. Martin is just writing stuff too slow. Hence the whole thing with the Night King, people thinking it's him controversy. But I am curious to see where they're gonna go with the original material, mainly because I feel like the original material is usually the weakest stuff that they do, and so I want to see if they can actually raise the bar, if they feel like they have their own free ground to come up with their own ideas, or are they gonna just, you know, drag things out. I'd rather they just, you know, the books are going to be different no matter what, the show's going to be different no matter what. As much as I complain, I still am going to watch the show because I do get a sort of fulfillment out of it from hearing great lines, seeing great actors do their craft. So I always get some pleasure out of it, even if it's not going to be exactly like the books, except, you know, when they fuck over characters I really, really enjoy. So at this point, my priority is that I want to see where the show is going, that it has to be different. It's forced to be different. And so where are these differences going to occur? Who's going to be affected by these differences? And how's that going to affect the way that we discuss these characters? And I think that's fun. I might do a longer video about my issue with the Sansa changes. I might just make a list because there's a lot of them that need to be addressed. Anyway, have a great one, and I'll be actually doing a proper review and updating it as soon as it comes up for next week's Game of Thrones. Yay!